Good morning. Welcome back to the channel. It's Bryan with DD214 Transport. Please like, subscribe, and hit the little bell for notifications so that when I update, you'll be notified. Guys, good morning. Have a cup of coffee, sit down, relax. We're going to talk about today. You don't know what you don't know about your truck and the regulations concerning it. I won't cover every regulation in this, but I'm going to cover some basic ones that you're going to get nailed on if you don't make sure it's up to snuff. So, one thing to update you on is I got a little letter from Department of Transportation yesterday, and this is action required. Submit documentations to complete required safety audit. This is my entrance audit letter, and it's 3 pages of stuff we gotta have. Okay, so you hear me talk about this new entrance safety audit that's going to happen between 8 and 18 months. Well, there's mine. So this is why you gotta have your ducks in a row, because if you don't if you don't cooperate and pass this audit, they will absolutely, they don't even play games. Failure to provide the necessary documentation requested to perform this safety audit will result in your new entrant registration being revoked and your company placed out of service. That's how serious it is. So I've got to get on that. Other things to update you on is EG6. I am still in the process of learning to dispatch. If you see the black circles under my eyes, that's because I've been staring at a computer screen for a couple weeks. And yeah, EG6 is doing well. We've made a lot of changes. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's going to do well. The subject today is that you don't know what you don't know about your truck. And again, I want to emphasize that when you get a roadside inspection or a full inspection, that they're going to be checking these things. And if you don't know about them, you will find out in the worst possible way. So we're going to talk about the truck. Today, the first thing, and just so you know, the reason I'm doing this is because I was going down the road and I'm just looking at other Hotshots, and I see issues. It's like, oh, that can't be like that, or oh, he's going to get in trouble for that. So this is why I want you guys, part of the brotherhood here and the sisterhood, my first responders and my military vets, guys, I want you guys to be right, and I don't want you to go out there and get in trouble. So first thing we're going to talk about is window tints. I saw a guy going down the road the other day, and he was blacked out like a limo. And just so you know, the windshield and both side glasses, as far as the driver, right and left, passenger side and driver side, must be 70% opaque, meaning you can only have a 30% tint on it. The rest of it has to be clear. Now, don't play games with this, because they'll nail you, and they've got a little meter that they'll come up and put on your windshield, and or I'm sorry, on your side glasses, and if it's not 70% opaque, you're going to get a ticket. The regulation is section 393.60, glazing. So you want to look that up. But the current rule permits windshields and side windows, which are these two, to only be 30% tinted. The rest has to be opaque. The rest of it, the other glass, doesn't matter. You can black those out if you want to, but these three windows are specifically designated at 70% opaque. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the windshield itself. Guys, you got to be careful when you start placing items attaching to your windshield, like your GPS and things like that, because they have limitations on what you can place where. You cannot be placing things within the view of your of the road. So what I'm just going to read this to you. It says devices mounted on the interior of the windshield must not be mounted more than 6 inches below the upper edge of the windshield. These devices must be located outside the area swept by the windshield wipers and outside the driver's sight lines to the road and highway signs and signals. So be cautious about where you're placing your GPS, your phone, whatever it is you're placing. Make sure that you're okay with that. This section, you know, when you want to go further in depth on this section is subpart D of the glazing, 393.60. And you want to take a look at that because it goes more in depth. Like here's one, not more than 4 inches below the upper edge of the windshield sweep, not more than 7 inches above the lower edge of the area swept by the windshield. So, you know, you can put it up and you can put it down, but don't put it in the middle of your windshield, basically. And I would read this. I would read this like 10 times to figure out exactly what they're saying. Okay, the next section we're going to go into is your lights. This is the little section that I was confused on because when I first got in the industry, it was if you had a light on your vehicle, it had to work, period. That means if you put a bunch of marker lights on it, it had to work. And that was in my head. Well, when I was prepping for this video, I sat down and I started reading through what it said. Well, under your lights on 393.9 says, all lamps required by this subpart shall be capable of being operated at all times. Okay? And as I went through the subpart, I'll nail it down for you real quick. It's basically what the truck comes with, because the manufacturer of the truck is going to have the D.O.T. regulations, and they're going to put the lights on it like it has to be lit. So those lamps have to work at all times. You can't go down the road with a headlamp out. So this is where I was confused. Again, when I got into it, if you had a light on your truck, it had to work. I want to read this to you and tell you what it means. This paragraph should not be construed to require that any auxiliary or additional lamp be capable of operating at all times. Okay, so basically what they're saying there is if you put an auxiliary light on your truck, you put a set of fog lights, you put a set of, LED high beams on a light bar or whatever on top, those aren't required to work. They're not going to give you a ticket for that because it's not part of the deal. Okay, the next section we're going to talk about is your tires. On your tires, 393 part 0.75, excuse me, 393 part 7.75 is tires, okay? And I want you to write these numbers down because this is important. And you should have a tread depth gauge with you at all times in your toolbox. All right, so on your front tires, first of all, no front tire can ever be recapped. You cannot put a regrooved or recap tire. It's all got to be virgin rubber on your fronts. Those fronts must maintain a minimum depth of 4/32 on the tread. If you go below 4/32, they're putting you out of service until you get new tires. On the rear, or your drive tire, on the rear, you can go down to 2/32. You go below that, they're going to put you out of service until you put 4 new tires. Well, if you got a dual, 4 new tires on. Now, things you got to realize with this is that when I put a new set of tires on Bessie, those rear tires were down to 3/32 on the rears, on the drives. And guys, that's bald. I mean, those tires were bald. 3/32 is nothing. So if you can look at 3/32 and think you're going to be comfortable running them, more power to you. I couldn't do it. It was worrisome. Okay. On this section, we're going to talk about the signage of your truck. The signage of your truck, this is where I see so many hotshots just screwing up, absolutely screwing up. And I'll tell you what's going on is they run off to Vista Print or one of these online sign things that says, hey, we can get you a door magnet for $10. And they order a door magnet with the stuff on it. Well, the door magnet is this big, it's like this big, and it's got all that data on it, and it's illegal. Don't do it. Look, the signage on your truck, I'm gonna go through it so we understand it. But the signage, your markings of your truck, every self-propelled CMV, every, not some, not if you want, every. Must have signage on both sides of the truck. It does not exactly tell you where you have to put it on the truck. Most have it on the doors or behind the door, on the second door, something. Okay. All right, so the nature of these markings must, again, listen to the verbiage, must display the following: the legal name of the motor carrier. Okay, so for me it's DD 214 Transport LLC. That's my legal name. I've seen some without a name. I've seen it with just the MC and the D.O.T. I've seen it with just the MC. You can't do it, guys. You have to have the legal name. You have to have the USDOT. That has to be on there. USDOT and the number. If the name of any person other than the operating carrier appears on the CMV, okay, then you must put operated by, okay, operated by such and such a carrier. All right. Other identifying information may be displayed if it is not inconsistent with the information that you just put up there. Sizes, shape, and location. Here's a big one. Here's a big one, guys. The letters must appear on both sides. Be in sharp contrast with the background. Sharp contrast. Meaning you don't put red background and pink letters. Okay? Sharp contrast. On mine, I've got the limo tint in the back window, so I put white letters on it so it can be seen. Okay. Be readily legible. Readily legible. During daylight hours from 50 feet. You will notice, look at the big boys, what they're running. It's about 2-inch letters, okay? Mine are 2-inch letters on my window. So, it is, I was at a base the other day, and I saw a guy that had the US DOT and MC number on the window. It was placed at the bottom part of the window, and it was this big, that big, right across. So, you know. All right, it's a, you can have magnetic signs as long as it conforms with the, you know, the 2-inch and those numbers. What I have on mine is I have DD214 LLC. I have the MC DOT number, the MC number, and the town I'm from. The town is not necessarily required. It's just something I want to put on there to give homage to Indian Trail. So, okay, so they also have to be maintained in good condition. So if they get ratty or torn up, or, you know, they start fading out or whatever, you have to get them replaced. That's one reason I put the vinyl letters on the window, is because I can scrape them off and replace them. Okay, so the next section we're going to go into is 393.82, and this is your speedometer. Speedometer, speedometer, however you want to say it. Each truck must be equipped with a speedometer indicating the vehicle's speed, and it must be calibrated and accurate within 5 miles an hour. So if your speedometer is not working, or it's way out of whack, get it fixed, because they can test that and tell. Okay, the next section is 393.95, which is emergency equipment. Each CMV, commercial motor vehicle, okay, must carry a fire extinguisher, spare fuses, and your triangles, or your warning devices. Now I want to tell you, I've seen a lot of questions about, hey, can I place my fire extinguisher on my trailer? The answer is no, you can't. Well, you can put one there, but you're still going to have one put in the truck. because your commercial motor vehicle is not your trailer, it's your power unit. Okay, so can you mount one on your trailer? Yes. Does it count? No, because when you unhook the trailer, where's your fire extinguisher? You don't have it anymore. There's your answer. So .95 says explicitly, emergency equipment on all power units requires every truck, trailer combination, and bus be equipped with a fire extinguisher. Okay? So, now, let me tell you what I do. All right, your fire extinguisher's got to be mounted in a way that it keeps it from rolling around side to side or vertical motion, all that. Well, I didn't want to drill a hole in my floor and mount a whole, kit in there. So what I did was I've got a seat back. It goes around the front seat, and I'll show you a picture of it. And that seat back's got a pocket in it. And I was able to stick it in the pocket and attach it with bungees. It's right at the door where you can get in and out, and it's readily accessible. So through all the roadside inspections I've had, everybody checked my fire extinguisher. Everybody, no one had a problem with it. So I consider that to be acceptable. Okay, this is a real short one. Emergency brake. You gotta have one. It's gotta work. Period. One other little note on this is with your trailer brakes. Mine is built in. Remember guys, your trailer brakes must be set to be able to hold your truck when disconnected. When that emergency breakaway is disconnected, you must be able to hold your vehicle while in gear. Now, a way you can test that is you have a little pinch test. That's your tester, okay? And how that works is you put it in gear, you squeeze it, wait a second, let off the brake. If your truck moves, you got to get your brakes adjusted. If it's set still, you're good to go. You can release it and you should move forward. It'll be fine. Okay, so off of that. The reason I brought that up is because I had a friend of mine get tagged on that the other day. All right, guys. This section, driver vehicle inspection reports, 36 or 396-11. I really don't know why I'm having a problem with the 396. I just not enough coffee. All right, drivers are required to complete a daily written post-trip inspection report at the end of every driving day. Okay, you're required. It says required. Now your ELD will do this. It won't do it for you. You literally have to go in and push the button, but it'll take care of that for you. The inspection report must identify the vehicle and list any deficiencies. Okay. This is something that's really important too. The motor carrier, which is you, must maintain a copy of these reports for 3 months. 3. Okay? So now we're going to talk about the annual inspection. At a minimum, especially for us, Hotshots in a pickup, it's one time a year. But at a minimum, one time a year, you have to do a complete safety inspection. Okay? Now, in North Carolina, it's required. You can't even get a tag unless you've went through the safety inspection. things that I do to try to stay ahead of any kind of issues is every oil change I have them inspect brakes, tires, undercarriage, anything like that, and I deal with it at that time. Because something, you know, if you let a problem go too long, it's just going to get worse. It's not going to get any better. It's just going to get worse. So every time I have the oil change, brakes are always inspected to make sure they're not glazed, to make sure I have plenty of pad left on them. And the undercarriage is inspected, tires are inspected, underneath everything's changed up. So make sure that you keep your equipment straight, because they are dragging Hotshots in left and right for these things. So make sure you're squared away. Okay, the next section we're going to talk about is deleting a diesel and what that means. Simply put, to delete a diesel engine is to remove the emissions control on it. The EGR system, the DPF, all that stuff gets removed, and putting it bluntly, should you delete your diesel? No. It is highly illegal. And if you're running Hotshot, you will be blistered. One way you can really tell when a diesel's been deleted is it blows black smoke out of it. You've seen these guys that are sitting at a traffic light and just blowing that black diesel soot everywhere. That's a deleted motor. Put all the legalities aside for a minute, and I did a little research, and what I found is these, you know, we're all driving these heavy duty pickups, and you know, when you start with a new truck, you don't need to be deleting. It's going to void your warranty if you do anything to it. But that aside, you know, they're getting pretty decent mileage, and it's really not worth the headache and the constant worry about, am I going to get pulled over? Am I going to get, you know, get in trouble? But things to remember is it's illegal to delete the emission equipment. You know, and a lot of these companies selling these emission deleting kits, the EPA is going after them. They're getting millions of dollars in fines right now. So not worth it. Highly recommend you don't do that. So most common violations, guys, from what we talked about today, most common violation number one is not having a required lamp, meaning you've got a light bulb out. That is your most common violation. Your brakes are glazed and need adjustment. Tire depth is below 2/32 for the rear, or 4/32 for the front. Your fire extinguisher, you either don't have one or it's not charged. Inoperable turn signal. Windshield wipers not working. And your automatic brake adjuster malfunctioned. So we have brake hose chafing or nicking. no or insufficient warning devices. Didn't have their triangles in there. So again, they're gonna look. They are gonna look, guys. And if you are if you're not prepared, they're gonna get you. One thing I wanted to remind you, if I didn't, fire extinguisher, spare fuses, and warning devices for stopped vehicles. That has to be in your truck. Has to be. Spare fuses. Don't forget that. Spare fuses. Okay, because they're going to look. They're going to ask, do you have your spare fuses? Yeah, I do. All right, so I think I've given enough for today. We're going to cut it off here. You know, just remember that nothing you're going to put on that truck or trailer, nothing you're ever going to pick up, drop off, is worth your life or anybody else's life. So be safe. Guys, have fun with this. Make some money and be safe. All right, this is Bryan with DD214. We'll see you next time.